morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is the Aurum Consultants podcast. Today, we are going to be discussing about employee risk. Aurum Consultants is a HR and risk advisory firm, and we specialize on issues that regards human resource and how it can be optimized in the workplace. Today with me, I have my beloved partner and wife, Zipporah. Kuria, she's the managing partner at Aurum Consultants. And we have Pauline Mwihia, the executive director of Amro Insurance Brokers. Ladies, probably you could introduce yourself a bit more.
Probably we can go with the first.
Yeah, we can start with the guest. Pauline, please tell us more about yourself.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. I'm excited to be here today. As Tony said, I'm Pauline Mwihia, Executive Director, Amro Insurance Brokers. We are risk consultants. We do insurance business. We've been in business for quite a number of years, 23 years of experience in the industry. Yeah, and today we are having a conversation with Aurum Consultants. Let's see how we take care of our customers and take care of ourselves as employers. Thank you, Tony.
Welcome. Thanks, Pauline. Zippy, probably you can also go ahead and tell us more about yourself.
Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us in this podcast. My name is Zipporah Kuria, managing partner at Aurum Consultants. I love Matters HR, and thank you, Pauline, for joining us today.
All right. Sawa. Thank you very much, ladies. Indeed, this is a very exciting topic to discuss. Exciting because there are many of our viewers who probably want to understand as entrepreneurs and even as employees, how do we handle the risks that come with hiring staff? Or if you are an employee, how does my employer view me in terms of the areas that probably they see as risk? Probably we'll start with you, Zipporah. Give us a brief on the employer-employee relationship. Yes.
Thank you, Anthony. I think to start first, let's say it's important to note that any business cannot survive without employees. We have good products, we have good services to offer, but it's important for us to understand as employers we need people. So that is the first thing that we need to be aware of. As an employer, when I engage an employee, then I need to understand that I'm forming a formal relationship with someone else. Now, how that relationship turns out is purely dependent on my action and the employee's actions as well, and decisions have to make along the way. The other thing that I would say about employer-employee relationship, it's important for us to also realize as employers, employees are an asset. And I cannot stress this, better than the words. Because if we don't value our own employees, then they will not be able to represent our product, our services for us. So it's important for us to have this relationship, knowing that it's a mutual relationship. So I need you as an employee, you need me as an employer. So how do we manage this relationship while we are working together?
Awesome. The word there is formal relationship. So if it is formal, it means then it has to be documented, contracts put in place, where both the employer and the employee clearly understand their roles and responsibilities. Now, the second question, what are some of the risks employers pose to an employee? Sorry, let me repeat that again. Some of the risks employees pose to an employer.
Let me start by saying with any relationship, there is an aspect of it. Even when you are having a relationship with friends, there's an aspect of it. So you have to evaluate and know what are the risks in this relationship you're getting into. So in terms of having employees, one of the greatest risks we have is litigation risk. Again, because of how we manage the relationship, it will very highly dictate whether we'll end up having litigation issues with our employees. So litigation is one of the major risks employers need to be aware of. The other risk is having the wrong employee in the right position. Okay, so we create jobs, but how do we hire these employees? how do we place our employees to do the job we expect them to do? Are they the right fit for that position?
Yes.
So that could be another risk, because if they don't know what they are doing, then they might do things that would actually cause organization in a major risk. The other risk would be when you as an entrepreneur, you don't understand your own brand, then you don't actually help your employees understand the brand. So if an employee does not understand your brand well, then becomes a risk for you, because you have to remember that they are your representation. So your employees also need to understand what is it that you're doing. And the other risk I would say is leadership failure. If as a leader you fail, then it trickles down to your employees, and employees will only be able to do as good as you do it. So if you don't do things right, then you don't expect your employees to do things right, and that poses a risk for you as an employer.
All right, that's a very good analysis that risks that employers face when they're engaging employees. There's something you say there, the first one, litigation. Litigation may involve things like not getting the necessary statutory labor protocols in place. We're talking about issues to do with WIBA, for example. We're talking about things like NSSF, NHIF, even things to do with their welfare, as benefits. And that is where now we want to engage our risk manager, Pauline. Now, Pauline, from your perspective as an insurance broker, what are some of the risks that could be beyond the control of the employer? Things that they need to look for somebody else to manage. Could you probably give us a few?
Okay. Now, as an employer, you are charged with the people that you have employed. Not only to empower them, but also to protect them. The government has come up with systems that helps employers take care of their employees and also cushion themselves. And that is something that has been accepted by the big corporations, but the small businesses are still staying a distance. They're still taking time. Now, the government has protected the person of Kenya by putting a statutory requirement that WIBA, which is Work Injury Benefits Act, should be taken by every employer. Now, what is Work Injury Benefits Act? You have employed your people, maybe you're running a school, you're running a restaurant, or you're employing people, you have people at a construction site. All these people are under you. Now, what happens if these people get injured? Sometimes injuries cause death. As an employer, the best you can do is embrace the insurance called WIBA to protect yourself, because from experience, what I have seen is that an employer will be injured or even die, and then after a year or 2 years, you get summons. You're summoned to court, and you're sued. Now that you did not, insurance is very important because it helps you transfer risk. Now that you did not transfer that risk to an insurance company, when you're sued and the courts decide you're supposed to pay 1 million, 2 million, it can be whatever amount of money.
Yes. It looks like, yes.
Yeah, it stops you from going on.
Yes.
So the WIBA policy that has been put in place by the government is supposed to be embraced by every employer. Whether you have 5 employees, whether you have 100 employees, it is important to transfer that risk. You will realize that you end up paying very little premium.
Yes.
But when a few years ago, I paid a debt of about 18 million. Now, can you imagine being served with such a court? You're supposed to pay 18 million.
Yes, that's
and the premiums you should have paid to transfer that risk would be below 100,000. So the other thing I know that happens is that an employee would be injured and the employer had taken a WIBA policy, but the employee feels, no, I'm not properly compensated. So they will go to court and sue you again. So what we do in this case, and ZP put it very well, litigation is a risk that we are all exposed to as employers. So how do we ensure that even if you have a WIBA policy and the employer feels I'm not properly compensated, how do I take care of that? So then we extend your WIBA policy and give you an employer's liability cover. That's that when you go to court, you come back to us and we take care of it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. That's a very important point that we are hearing, that the basic minimum that the government requires all employers to put in place is WIBA cover. That is the Workman's Injury Benefits Act. I mean, the acronym comes as WIBA. And then Pauline has also told us clearly that in addition to WIBA, within the WIBA Act, within the WIBA insurance cover, there is something called employer's liability cover, where if an employee, even after getting the disbursement for WIBA, still feels that the employer should pay more, that they can take the employer to court because they probably feel they were not covered well enough, then that litigation risk can be offset to an insurance company in the same package with WIBA as employer's liability cover. Now, that's very good, Pauline. Now, there's another question now I'll ask on top of that, just in relation to what you've just said. How are employees covered all the time when they are working, or they are covered, or are they covered even when they are at home or on transit to work or from work?
Very good question, Tony. Now, the WIBA policy, again, we say it is a statutory requirement.
Sure.
It will cover an employee. Sorry.
It's okay.
It will cover an employee from 8 to 5. Or if it's a hotel or industries where they work at night, as long as the employee is at work, then they are covered. But as employers and really, I want to believe all employers really care about their staff.
Yes.
We extend it to be a 24-hour cover and call it WIBA Plus, meaning we bring in the aspect of group personal accident, meaning that this person is covered, this employee of yours is covered when they are at work, when they are on their way home, and when they are in their houses. 24/7, 365 days in a year. Even when they are on holiday in Mombasa, wherever they are, you have taken care of them.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
This allow me to say this, Tony.
Yes.
When even us as employers,
yes,
we cover ourselves within that policy. Right? So it's not only meant for employees. And I'll tell you why it is important. Many of us own private vehicles. We own private vehicles. This vehicle covers my vehicle fully, comprehensive, whether it is due to theft, whether it becomes a write-off, we are very well covered.
Sure.
And I will cover the third person, that third party, my neighbor, a stranger, when I carry my car. But do you know, my children, my husband, my wife is not covered in that car. So it is important that we all embrace the personal accidents.
Yes.
Even as owners of vehicles.
Yes.
Because if there's an accident and I'm carrying my 4 children, I have not taken care of that aspect, then they're still exposed.
Yes.
So as we take care of our employees 24 hours by giving them the WIBA Plus, please let's take care of our children, the people that we love, the people who make us wake up every morning, by giving them a simple personal accident cover.
Awesome. Wow, Pauline, you have hit the nail on the head. If you're listening to us, this podcast, and you are prudent enough to have taken a WIBA, even probably WIBA plus cover for your employees, remember your company is your employer. And within that WIBA, I hope you have put yourself both for the WIBA and for the GPA, the general personal accident. It comes as a rider to the WIBA cover, and it makes sure that you as the employer are also insured. Now, there's a question, Pauline, before I go to the next one, that I just want to clarify so that our listeners will understand better. They will ask themselves, isn't that an extra cost that if WIBA is costing me, say, 50,000, I have to cough another 50,000 to add on top of this? Could you probably clarify to us what that WIBA plus GPA, how is quantified by the insurance industry?
The WIBA, the GPA actually, yes, which makes it, the GPA aspect of WIBA is what makes it a WIBA plus.
Yes.
And it is just a loading. Let's assume that the premium due, when you take in consideration how much you're paying your employees, and the premium we calculate, let's say it comes to 100,000.
Yes.
We will load 25% of 100,000.
Yes.
So that we cover you for the GPA.
Okay.
So really, it is not equal to the WIBA premium. Okay. It's a load on the WIBA premium. And maybe, Tony, before I go, it's important to know what really is covered under the WIBA policy.
Mm-hmm.
Your employees will be covered for temporary total disability, permanent total disability. If I am working and I fall and I break my back and I'm permanently, injured, I cannot work. So compensation is equal to the death cover, which is 8 years of the salary.
Wow.
So really what you're doing as an employee is empowering the families of your employee. What you're doing as an employer, is empowering your employees to continue feeding their families, even when they occurs, even when total disability occurs. Yes.
Awesome.
Anthony, if you allow me to comment on the issue of WIBA, and it's good for our audience to actually understand this if you're an employer, because I have experienced this firsthand, where you find employers have lost an employee, and of course the family has come knocking. And they want to know what insurance did you have in place. And actually why it becomes a legal litigation for you is because if the family realizes you did not have any insurance cover, then they start making demands. And of course that actually puts in a very precarious situation if you do not have that cover in the first place.
Yes.
And again, when you have a WIBA policy in place to mitigate the litigation risk in the first place, you have to understand you're safeguarding your employee, and your employee will feel safer because again also the law is very clear on the workplace safety. So you're safeguarding your employee, and the employee is feeling comfortable actually having to work within your premises or wherever you send them to work, knowing that in the event something happens to me, then I am covered. On the other hand, if you take a WIBA plus, it's a motivation to the employee. It's a benefit. It's an added benefit. The WIBA plus might not be a requirement by the government, but it's an added advantage to the employee because they know this is a benefit my employer is giving to me because they care about me, not just because I'm at the workplace, but even outside the work environment. So for our listeners, I think this is very critical. It's very important to know, number one, this is a statutory requirement, but number two, it safeguards you against unnecessary litigation.
Awesome. So out there, if you're listening, remember the issue is you're first of all meeting the government requirements that have been put in place to meet the minimum standards of employing people, and then going over and above and adding a benefit, to the employees. Now, Pauline, apart from WIBA, and WIBA Plus and GPA, what other risks from an insurance perspective, do employers face, and what are the other options that are available? Other policies and policies available for them to take to mitigate those risks.
I will start by saying again, WIBA. I'm going back to WIBA because it's a work injury. It is accidental injury, accidental death. But the risks that our employees face are way beyond just injuries. They're also exposed to ailments. They are exposed to. We are human beings. We get sick. We're going through COVID. So when your employees are unwell, how do we run our companies? So that is a risk for employers. And I think we can, as employers, we can mitigate by giving them a simple medical insurance cover. Because when I fall sick, I need to go to the hospital, meaning I need time out. Meaning I need money to go to the hospital. The Harambee time comes when I am admitted or I need to go to India. But what if I just need an MRI? I need just to consult. This money will still come back to the employer. What do we do? How can we help this person? But if you put in a medical insurance cover, a simple one just for your employees, I think, and as an employer, you will have encouraged these people, like Zippy says, you motivate them. And then you'll give them time to heal faster and come back.
Thank you. So from an employer's point of view, we do have WIBA Plus, and then we have medical. Those are some of the risks that the employers are faced with when hiring employees. However, there was a time we were discussing with Zippy, and probably Pauline, you could also come into the picture about this. I remember discussing something to do with fiduciary issues. For example, if you are an employer, you have a certain department that deals with cash. Say you are a cash-heavy business, and you have people paying in money, paying out money, or you have an employee who takes money to the bank, lots of box and all that. I remember we discussed something to do with, is it called Fidelity Guarantee or something?
Fidelity Guarantee.
Yes, Fidelity Guarantee, because that's also another risk that employers face when they're having employees who are handling money. Probably, briefly, you could tell us more about Fidelity Guarantee.
So you have employees, you're handling cash. I'll give you a case scenario. I have a client who runs a bakery. And so he takes bread from Machakos to Nyeri to Nyahururu to, so he has salespeople who will have all these ideas about our till is not working. We need to pay cash. We have very interesting employees. So we've had a challenge with somebody is paid 200,000 and takes off with it. So those are some of the risks. That's what you're talking about fiduciary, and that is how Fidelity Guarantee insurance policy comes in. So you pay a little premium, again transfer your risk, that risk, to an underwriter who will now carry the risk. If your employee, so Tony will be saying, if your employee is going to take off with 200,000, you have paid very little premium, and you will claim when they take off with that. So you don't get to lose your capital, you don't get to lose your sales. And that is how Fidelity Guarantee insurance mitigates the employer's risk.
Awesome. Now, as you can hear, there are solutions out there for you, entrepreneurs, business people. If you're in a cash-heavy business that requires you to have an employee running out there, you go and do collections, or they are selling, like the way Pauline has said about a bakery, you're distributing across the country, and you have inevitably, whether you like it or not, you will have your employees handling money, whether it is in cash form, whether it is in checks form, whether it is in mobile money, and somehow there's a place where you have to trust the employee to handle the money on your behalf. But then, unfortunately, we have not yet translated to become angels. We are still human beings. And that employee can decide, I will pinch something from here. I am so pressed, salary day is far off, I need to do ABCD. And they might be tempted to pinch off a big amount and disappear with it and leave you exposed. So as an employer, Fidelity Guarantee is something that you can talk to Pauline about. Her email address is running on the bottom of our screen. Kindly, if you'd like to know more about Fidelity Guarantee, about WIBA, about medical, and there are many other policies, Pauline, that people can put for their employees. There are things like group life. Put a retirement scheme for your staff. Because if somebody dies, because let me tell you something, employers, if somebody passes on and they're working for you, and they've probably worked for 15, 20 years, and they did not die because of an accident. I mean, they just passed on. WIBA does not cover passing on naturally. So if you have a group life cover, that you take and then you renew every year. So this group life cover will, instead of you having to come from your coffers to give money to the dependents because their breadwinner has gone, if you are discerning enough, you could take also a group life cover. Isn't that the case, Pauline? Probably you could tell us more about group life.
That is very true, Tony. You put it very well. The WIBA policy takes care of accidental death. But what happens if I fall sick and I die? Or I just wake up 1 minute and I am gone?
Yeah.
So medical insurance, WIBA does not come in. So what comes into place? The life policy. The life policy, again, you will be surprised at the kind of premiums you're paying. You'll be very surprised. I think insurance is very expensive. You only need to talk to us. We'll show you how manageable it is. It's something that I think is worth. Again, we as employers, we are called to be stewards. How are we taking care of that God has given us charge of over?
Yes.
So we are given employees. Taking care of them is ensuring continuity. Okay? If your member dies, you're still feeding that family.
Exactly.
And I think we can jump in to that, Pauline, on the issue of us taking care of our employees. As an employee, I'll be very comfortable knowing that my employer cares about my well-being. And I think we need to go back thinking about why would I even want to really spend money and take any mitigations to cover my employees. Think about it. If you have one of your key employees who is unwell, admitted in the hospital for a while, number one, it will affect you as a business. And if you're a human being, you will have emotions towards it and you naturally want to do something. So if you have not cushioned yourself against it, then it becomes very difficult for you. On the other hand, it actually affects your productivity, because you have to remember this is an employee who was doing a certain role. They are grounded. You are not able to help them. So because you're not probably able to do anything to help and speed up their recovery, then it fetches longer and you might end up having to recruit someone to replace or hold forth when they are away, and it affects your productivity. So what happens, actually your bottom line starts to go down, while it shouldn't actually be going down if you have put the necessary measures in place. So again, it comes down to how do we take care of our employees for us to be able to get the best out of them, okay? Because again, like you have said, there are many risks, and I'm sure we cannot cover all these risks in this one sitting. I mean, there are occupational risks, for example. The law requires us actually to do audit annually about occupations and all that, and the occupational risks that come with it. The law requires us to file audit reports to the Ministry of Labor. But most of us either don't know or we don't practice those things until we have a situation in place. Then we have to start thinking about what we do. So it's important for us as employers to start thinking about how do we put the foundation, how do we start putting the pillars in place so that our businesses can be able to thrive properly, our employees can feel at home, they can feel as part of the family when they are working for us.
Awesome. I am loving this discussion. I want to take to employers out there. You may be listening to Pauline and Zipporah and I am wondering, these are more and more burdens that are being heaped upon me. Remember, we started with the conversation by saying your employees are your biggest assets. Whether you are a service in the service industry, whether you are a manufacturer, whether you are a retailer, whatever business you're doing, until the day somebody comes up with robots to do deliveries, robots to drive your vehicles, robots to in a fully automated machinery plant, you will need the people. And it is these people, if you treat them as assets, as partners, you will reap the very big benefits. And the price to pay for meeting the government statutory requirements and for employee safety, making your environment also, that's something we also need probably to discuss briefly. Probably Zipporah, you can, before I go to Pauline, probably you can tell us briefly how the environment, the workplace environment, how it can contribute to employee risk. Probably you can tell us.
I think let me start by saying one of the things that we need to be very aware about is employee relations. And employee relations is very wide. What parameters do we put in place to ensure there's good employee relations? Because it's when those relations go south that we end up with litigation issues. We've talked a lot about WIBA, which is a statutory requirement. But again, you find it's a risk when an employee gets injured at the work environment. When you look at our relation in terms of as an employer honoring the contractual agreement, how we handle that. Okay? When it comes to documentation, in terms of how I'm handling my documentation in relation to my employees, how am I handling that? When it comes to disciplinary issues, what processes have I put in place and what processes am I following to discipline my employees? If it gets to I need to let my employee go, then what is the process, what is the procedure of letting my employee go? A lot of us wake up today morning and I don't like your face and I'm thinking you need to get out of my place. So what we don't realize is we need to have a very justifiable reason for you to actually terminate my services. As an employee, I have a right to a fair hearing. I have a right to know why am I being terminated. So as an employer, you can't just wake up and decide, you know what, I'm not interested in this relationship anymore, I'm walking out. You have to follow the given guidelines. Otherwise, you find yourself in this web of litigation.
Awesome. Today we are learning a lot. Thank you, Regina, for in the comment section that you're learning. Indeed, most of us are learning. I'm sure even our guest will say she has learned one or two things about employee relations and stuff. And we have learned too about the risks that involve employees. Now, Pauline, as we come to the end of this podcast, I've just remembered as we were talking, there are other risks that, if your company is sizable, that you could also want to discuss with your broker. There is something I remember hearing, because I was also trained a bit in insurance, called Directors and Officers Insurance, something like that. Probably for those who are investors who have employed managers, directors to run the business on their behalf. Could you probably hint, what is Directors and Officers Insurance?
Again, this brings us to litigation. Okay, where you make a director's decision, your managers make a decision, that goes south.
Mm.
How do you ensure that the decision, the information I'm giving you, Tony, or the advice, when we do risk analysis, when we come and look at what are your risk factors, we give you a risk analysis and we give you the different ways that you can mitigate. And for big corporations like the oil industry, like the power industry, you may give some advice and give some information that really works against. Even as much as you're a professional. How do you ensure that I, as the expert in the insurance field, I'm also taking care of myself, the managers that I have employed, I'm also taking care of myself. So that is where the director's, policy comes in, where we are telling the underwriter, yes, I know I can make a mistake, so take this risk. I'm transferring my exposure to you. So that if I am sued by a company that I gave advice, then the officers in my employment and myself as a director have a place to run to. So insurance takes care of, I say insurance takes care of things that many of us don't know. Tony, I will tell you, as a brokerage firm, we take an insurance called professional indemnity cover. Why? Because we are professionals. But we need to take care of you as our customers. What if we fail you? Where will you run? Our policy comes in and takes care of your interests.
Awesome.
I think even when you're in our hands, we have also protected you by taking insurance on your behalf. Employers,
Yes, awesome. Now we are hearing those of you who are like Zippy and I in Aurum Consultants, Amro Insurance Brokers, those of you who run professional consultancies or in a place where you're providing advisory service to your clients, or probably your directors, even if you're in a service industry, you're in a manufacturing field and your directors gave advice that turned south and you are sued. In your personal capacity and in the professional capacity, out there, these are risks that as an employer and employee you are exposed to. Because remember, the risks are not just about the employee. Even you as an employer, there are certain risks that you're involved in when you are carrying out your duties as a director, as an entrepreneur, as a consultant. So you need to take care of yourself so that you are covered in all areas. Well, today we've had a very
Can I say something before we go, Tony?
Yes, go ahead.
There's one policy that is, I think we should not go without having mentioned. It is called the public liability policy. The public liability policy says that if I am running a school, if I am in a construction site, the stranger, a passerby who is coming in and passing through my premises could get hurt. And will sue me. Let's imagine I'm running a construction site and I am passing and a stone falls. And I know you have written there, beware, stay away. We are Kenyans who will still come and pass where you have said, please don't come near. So I will still get hurt and I will still sue you. So how do you take care of yourself? Ensure that stranger, that child is taken care of. It's by taking out a public liability policy, meaning you have taken care of the public. You have transferred that risk, whether it's death, whether it's injury, whether this person needs to be taken to the hospital. And you'll be surprised. Somebody may come to your school or even to your house. I'm not saying take insurance, public liability for your house, but I could be passing and one of your people is washing the floor and I fall. And break my leg or hand or back. So how do I ensure
Yes.
that I have taken care of that person, and the risk is now not mine, but is the underwriter. So the public liability policy is also very important depending on what you're doing.
Awesome. Keep sending us your comments on this live post as we come to an end. We want to tell you out there that yes, the risks are there. You will be very surprised. The risks involved in just being alive, forget about even being in business, are so many. But the key is not to eliminate them. The key is to manage and transfer the risks to someone else, and especially the one you've just mentioned. I'm imagining those of us who are running, say, a salon. Those of us who probably out there, you are a retailer, you have a small supermarket or even a big supermarket. The public liability risk is something that you're handling every day beyond your employees, your customers who are walking into your premises. If something was to happen to them there, even if it's something out of your control, you never know. A fire burst, burning, and people got injured, and they might get a clever lawyer who will come and sue you and say that you did not take care of ABCD. So because of all that, and it's very surprising, Pauline, the way you've put it, all these risk covering issues, the premium you pay is very small compared to the risk that you're transferring. Yeah. So if you are listening to us, remember, employee risks are there. You've got to face them. Just like in life, when you're driving a motor vehicle, you're enjoying your car as a director, as an individual. Your car has a risk to third parties, but it also has a risk to you. You get injured, and your family, your children, your wife, your spouse, if they get injured, you are exposed. So if you have any more questions, you'd like to know more about employee liability, our email address and our contacts are at the bottom of the screen. You can get in touch with us at Aurum Consultants. If you want to know more about the insurable risks, you can get in touch with Pauline at Amro, www.amro.co.ke, and learn more how you as an employer can take care of yourself as you take care of your clients. Well, today we've learned a lot. As we come to the end of this podcast, would you like to say something as we close?
To our viewers, I think we've talked a lot about the risks involved by engaging employees. We talked about some of the solutions we have. And what I would add on again, some of the risks that are probably not insurable, like having the right people in the right place. As an employer, choose to hire right, choose to have the right person in the right position. On the other hand, as a leader, ensure that you're leading from the top. Ensure that you are doing the right thing and expecting your employees to do what you do. Employees will not follow you if you're doing the wrong thing, or they will follow you and do the wrong thing. So the outcome is entirely dependent on you as a leader. So as a leader, you need to that. And the other thing, of course, is help your employees understand your value to exist in the first place.
Yes.
Help them understand what it is that they're expected to do on a daily basis, so that again you can minimize on this. And finally, I would say build loyalty with your employees. Okay, and there's a lot of ways you can build loyalty with your employees for them to feel I belong. Yeah. So once they know we belong, then they start becoming loyal. So there's a lot of solutions that are available for you as an employer. So if you need any support, you need any help, reach out to us on the contact provided, and we'll be very happy to help you navigate this challenge.
Awesome. Pauline, what are your closing remarks?
My closing remarks is employers, by taking care of your employees, you're taking care of yourself. By taking care of your employees, you're empowering your business, you're ensuring the continuity of your business. So let's take care of our employees. Let's look at how can we empower these people that really put in their sweat, they put in their time to help drive your dream. So let us take care. By taking care of them, you're taking care of yourself, and you're also, serving their families. So if you need further information, just maybe to understand figures, we are at Sienda House, second floor.
Yes.
You're very, very welcome. We have very able officers willing to listen to you. Please visit us or give us a call.
Thank you, Pauline. Vidic Tilapia, thank you for your comments. We really appreciate them. Knowledge is key. So with those many few remarks, we come to the end of our podcast. Take care of yourselves. If you're an employer, no matter how small, remember you can handle risks that come with employees by taking the appropriate steps. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.